What's going on, guys? Hopefully, you guys are having a good time. I know I'm not the only one feeling like this, but 2024 feels a lot like 2020, but this is part four, right? I don't know, it's very strange. It's like no sense of communal solidarity or it's like no pride, man. It's like it seems like we're always confused and muddled and always trying to argue rather than just really enjoying the moment, right? But nevertheless, I find Mauricio Suleiman very a person that has horrible timing, right? Because a lot of the things that at least he's coming out in interviews and saying in articles that are coming out, he wants to experiment having 5 or 6 judges in one of the most meaningful fights that boxing has to offer in 2024. Apparently, he wants to use 5 or 6 judges. He wants to use the continuous usage of instant replay versus Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury, right? And a simple question that I would like to ask is like, why don't you do it on the 4 round fights, the fights that are, I'm not gonna say meaningless, but don't hold as much significance as an undisputed match. Like all of a sudden, you want to change up history, tradition, and culture for this fight when you should be doing it like on your understudies. Why all of a sudden do you want to experiment versus Usyk and Tyson Fury? Who do you not trust? What are you trying? I know this is like the world is the stage, so to speak, and everybody's eyes and ears are going to be into this magnificent fight and tuning in. But why would you want to almost blemish it? It would be like leaving an asterisk in this fight. I don't know. Mauricio's like I said, he has horrible timing. Or maybe it's the greatest timing to have such, rules implementation, man. It's strange, man. It's very strange. I don't I don't know why Mauricio Suleiman would want to do such things. It's like do it against other fights, other meaningless fights. Don't do it on this fight. Don't ruin this fight. If it is to happen in May, don't ruin it, Mauricio. All right. For the majority of your career or Tyson Fury's, you've always backed up and supported Tyson Fury. Are you afraid that the WBC is going to get on the hands of Alexander Usyk? Because the WBC, or more or less Mauricio Suleiman, he's, I don't know, I guess against Russia, against Dmitry Bivol, right? And I don't know, man. It's like, are you trying to, really stick it to the man? And who would you side in this situation? Who are you trying to stick it to? It's almost like he doesn't want the WBC to get in the hands of Alexander Usyk. Why would you need instant replay? For what? For the low blows that Tyson Fury is going to try to implement on Alexander Usyk, to get it right. Mauricio Suleiman is very strange in trying to change up history and then all of a sudden, have his finger on the atomic bomb button and set things off to go nuclear. Very weird. The Mexican G, salute to you, man. Sports Archives. Who are your top 5 QBs in your opinion? You already want to talk boxing, man. Yes, sir. Look, man. Obviously, you got Patrick Mahomes. You're going to have to put Joe Burrow in there, but not ahead of Brock Purdy. You got to add Jordan Love. And I'm going to have to say, a lot of people want to say Josh Allen, but I got to give it to Justin Herbert. I like Justin Herbert. And you're going to see how great Justin Herbert will be when he teams up with Jim Harbaugh. It's going to be very interesting right now, man. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes goes number 1. Brock Purdy would go number 2, right? Joe Burrow, he get him and Josh Allen. They're very good. They are very good. But with the roster that they have on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, the fact that they still haven't won a Super Bowl with that roster, and Patrick Mahomes just won a Super Bowl with this offensive roster, and Rashee Rice and Pacheco and a 35-year-old Travis Kelce. Imagine if Mahomes got his hands on a Mike Evans this offseason. I wouldn't say Justin Herbert is trash. I would say Staley is trash. I don't even know what his first name is, but he got fired. I think he's a horrible head coach. He always goes for it on fourth down. On top of going on fourth down, he had one of the best defensive rosters with Derwin James, one of the best hard-hitting safeties out right now. He had J.C. Jackson, Asante Samuel, the linebacker Murray, who is a first-rounder, Nick Bosa and Khalil Mack, and a nice defensive tackle, and his defense was horrible. He's just a horrible coach. And you're going to see Jim Harbaugh, when he brings in his nucleus, his team, his philosophy, his mindset, his awareness, they'll probably be favored to go to the Super Bowl, and that'll be the Chargers. So I can't say Justin Herbert is trash, man. But I could say maybe Trevor Lawrence, man. He had Calvin Ridley. He had Evan Ingram. He had Christian Kirk. He had that amazing Travis Etienne running back, and he couldn't even make the playoffs, man. Like, if there was a guy that regressed significantly and they still carried that momentum, they should have carried the momentum from beating the Chargers after 24-0. Oh, man, it's crazy. It was actually quite shocking. But, yeah, man, Justin Herbert is not trash. You can't say that. To answer your question, the Mexican G, I guess I'm just kind of waiting for Speed and Drew to hop on, if they choose to hop on. But look, man, I like David Benavidez, right? And whatever opponent selection that Canelo chooses for his next fight, whether it's David, whether it's somebody else, all I want to say is this, man. David gets a little too much credit and praise for a guy that lost everything. He could have been like Shakur in the sense that if you want to become undisputed, you would have to beat me at 168. But David Benavidez does not deserve a second chance right now. In fact, he had too many third and fourth chances to make sure that all roads led through him to become undisputed. But him and his manager, Sam Lukowicz, priced himself out against Caleb Plant to unify when both fighters were undefeated. He lost the WBC twice for cocaine and on the scale. And then all of a sudden, we're supposed to reward you for beating Canelo's leftovers, in which you couldn't knock out or fight off a clinch against Caleb Plant, and for beating an 154-pounder and Demetrius Andrade, who looked horrible in 168 against Damon Nicholson. That's why I'm dissing David Benavidez, because he's such a crybaby. He's exactly a crybaby, right? And then all of a sudden, we want to give him so much credit for knocking out Demetrius Andrade when you teamed up with Memo Heredia. Nobody wants to talk about that, huh? Like, I mean, if I'm a professional fighter, yeah, I want to have Alex Ariza. I want to team up with Memo Heredia, Victor Conte, because why not? But we know their background. We know who they are. And David has looked exceptionally strong and big, right? Come on now, no excuses. No excuses for what? Those are facts. All those things that I said with David are facts. Why does he deserve a fourth chance? You haven't even put in 4 times the effort to clean up your name. So there is really no excuses. As for Canelo, if he does a special guest appearance and he goes to the Zone and sits ringside or commentates for the Spanish network on the Spanish portion of the Zone on the Edgar Berlanga versus Paddy McCrory, and Canelo decides to fight Edgar Berlanga next because he's American, I wouldn't be mad about that, right? Because they pretty much have the same level of competition. Sure, David might have Caleb Plant and Demetrius Andrade and Edgar Berlanga could be fighting the leftovers of Triple G like the Steve Rolls of the world, but it would be comparable. You see, David should be fighting 4 or 5 times each year. They shouldn't be on pay-per-view. And he should be eliminating every single fighter on his way, like the David Morales and Billy, Eric Bazinian, Edgar Berlanga, Jaime Munguia, um, the bully Bektirmiziev or Malakuziev, whatever his name is. You know, the guy that Gabriel Rosado knocked in 2 rounds. That's how active David Benavidez should be doing. But no, you know, everybody wants to cry, and all of a sudden, guys like that I adore and admire, not adore, but I admire and respect, Juan Manuel Marquez, always hates on Canelo. And he's saying how Canelo's ducking all these fighters and how he's ducking David Benavidez. And that crab in a bucket mentality that my favorite fighter, Juan Manuel Marquez, has towards Canelo, it's disgusting. It's disgusting to see him bash one of his contemporaries, one of his Mexican fighters, and how he sides and always has sided against Canelo Alvarez. It's one of the most disgusting behaviors. It's like when you guys gatekeep and say that I'm not Mexican. If I'm being completely honest. Sports Archives goes, come on, bro. We went on a winning streak and then on a losing streak. It should not happen. You have Doug Pederson, an amazing Philly special, and beat Tom Brady with Nick Foles. Now he has a generation, quarterback, and Trevor Lawrence with an amazing roster and offensive defense. You have an amazing edge rusher and Josh Allen, a really good secondary with Darius Williams that you guys got from the LA Rams, and you guys could not win. That division was there for the taking, and yeah, that was ridiculous. The talent is there, and so was the head coach. You guys should not be going on a losing streak in that manner, and what you guys did to not really make the playoffs. That was crazy, man. But yeah, no, it's gonna be really interesting to see what Justin Herbert will do. I'm not too sure if you guys collect Panini football cards or things of that nature, but Justin Herbert's stock is going to rise if it hasn't risen already, and he'll probably be MVP. If he gets healthy, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Quentin Johnson, and then they draft Brock Bowers, the tight end from Georgia, who's like 6'4", and they say if they get a legit bona fide running back, not, 5'4", and what's his old boy, that guy that wants to be like Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler. If they get a legit running back, not just, garbage time catches and touchdowns, a legit running back, watch that team explode with Jim Harbaugh. 13-3 type of season like he did. If he was able to get a 13-3 winning season with Alex Smith, give him a quarterback that's top 5 that can throw for 5,000 yards and has legit receivers. Bro, Jim Harbaugh's going to tear up this league. Let him cook, man. Let him cook. Sports Archives goes, man, he's always trash. Yeah, man. Maybe, possibly. The Mexican G goes, come on, man. No excuses. He beat the shit out of Andre, a boogeyman. A boogeyman to whom? He ain't no boogeyman at 168. He only had one fight. And you can probably say that should have been a draw. I don't even know. And I think David beats Plant worse than Canelo. Well, guess what? He had 12 rounds to do so, and he let Caleb Plant hug him for 6 of them. So I don't think he will. He walked Plant down and mauled him. I could have had a stoppage if Plant wasn't hugging. There's an art to inside fighting, and if David Benavidez hasn't acquired that skill, then maybe he should study Robert Duran. Sports Archives goes, Andrade is trash. Here. I mean, he's trash at 168. He should have stayed at 160 or at 154, man. If he's gonna say that, oh, I'm too small at 168, then why are you even campaigning there? El Pachuco goes, saludos. Man, saludos to you too, brother. The Mexican G goes, now Andrade is trash. Come on now. Before he fought Benavidez, he was the man. he was going to beat Canelo. Yeah, but beating Canelo at 154, maybe at 160, not at 168, because resume, activity, or inactivity, all of these things matter. And how good you looked at 168. He fought Demond Nicholson, who in Billy knocked out in 2 rounds. If Andre had done something like that, then you'd be like, man, his speed, his power, and his intellect carried over to 168, his third weight class. But guess what? He didn't. Andre was never a big puncher. He got dropped by a jab by Vanes Martirosyan. He was just a good, awkward talent. But like Canelo said, you're a horrible fighter. You're a horrible fighter then. Honestly, you're a horrible fighter now. So all of a sudden, he's a boogeyman. According to whom? Okay, according to one-sided fan base. Yeah, give me a second, guys. Sports Archives goes, he was, I read that, man. The Mexican G goes, all the blacks were saying he was going to take over and whoop Canelo. Okay. Yeah, and maybe at 154 or at 160. But, you know, the point still stands that Canelo called him a horrible fighter. And honestly, there was an opportunity that Demetrius Andrade had the world focused on him in that fight against David Benavidez. And it showed. Not only was he a horrible fighter, he quit. He could have continued, but he didn't. I'm not saying that was not a hellacious knockout punch. I mean, obviously, it made him cross-eyed for a bit. A boogie came out of his nose. Obviously, David's a big, hard puncher. But if you're that dude that's been beating the Keith Thurmans of the world and the amateurs, and you're beating all these guys, and you're the boogeyman, then you don't quit on your stool after 4 or 5 rounds. So you can't be the boogeyman. Look, man, a certain style of fan base have gotten their picks and their favorite fighters destroyed. That's why boxing's been quiet, because they have no fighter to vouch and support, right? They don't really back up Bud Crawford. Errol Spence, Andrade, all of these dudes have taken major L's. They have no one to root for. Deontay Wilder's ruining his legacy, right? Andrade lost any legacy that he had. Errol Spence, bro, his chain was snatched by Bud Crawford. That's why boxing's been quiet. Well, American boxing has been quiet, but Japanese boxing is on the rise. And it starts with this Saturday, where my cuñado Alejandro Santiago, WBC champion, coming off a victory against Nonito Donaire, is going to fight the undefeated knockout artist, tall, lengthy, southpaw, in Junto Nakatani this Saturday, man. Unfortunately, it's going to be in Japan. It's going to be like at 1 a.m., 12 a.m., 2 a.m. But get your popcorn ready, man. Get that menudo right there. Get your espresso coffee, whatever it is you need, because you don't want to miss this unification match, man. I'm really excited for Alejandro Santiago. Hopefully he can come through and become a unified champion for Mexico. It's going to be tough. He's got to make it more. He's got to look spectacular. He's got to look it beyond impressive, because right now the politics and the pull, Japan has a lot of momentum, right? They're establishing, they have an amazing catalog of fighters right now in terms of the smaller divisions. And Junto Nakatani being one of those pillars alongside Naoya Inoue, it's not going to be easy for Alejandro Santiago to go over, across the Atlantic in the Pacific. Well, probably Pacific. I'm not too sure exactly where he resides, but it'll be shorter if he goes to the Pacific Ocean side and he goes to the Lion's Den and tries to become unified against Junto Nakatani. I just hope he doesn't get knocked out, because obviously Junto Nakatani fights a lot like Paul Williams, Sergio Maravilla, great athleticism, and he's got a killer left straight. But Alejandro Santiago has more than enough thick skin, technique, and he's got momentum. It's going to be one hell of a fight, and I can't wait, man. I can't wait. I'm excited for it. El Pachuco goes, Benavidez was making a career out of bringing up smaller guys to fight him at 168. Absolutely. Kyron Davis, maybe a 154-pounder. Ronald Ellis, a 160-pounder. He's one of Canelo's primary sparring partners, right? Got dropped by Ronald Gabriel, right? Lately, you can say David Benavidez is peaking. I'm not going to lie. I was impressed against, that knockout performance that he had against Demetrius Andrade. And I'm not gonna lie, that was impressive because that's still an undefeated fighter challenging himself to be great in a third weight class. You can't take these things lightly. And if you're that much better, then you beat him by knockout. And he did, right? David said he was gonna get the knockout, and he followed up on his word. So it looks like he's finally becoming a consummate professional and doing the right things, hiring a nutritionist, getting a sports science, physical trainer in Memo Heredia, and one of the best. It looks like he's about business and he's standing on it. And that's what you would like to see when he was 20 years old. Now, again, he was extremely young back then, so we can give him a pass because mistakes are made, and this is life. We're here to make mistakes and learn from our mistakes, hopefully, and that's how we will show progression. But this is like the third or fourth break, and Benamierdas, like El Pachuco says, has made a career of bringing up really relatively small fighters: Demetrius Andrade, Ronald Ellis, Kyron Davis, Romer Angulo, and all of these fighters that have campaigned in lower weights, and he moved them up and beat them convincingly, right? It's like the same with Virgil Ortiz. Nah, just joking. I don't want to bring in Virgil, but he knocked out Mauricio Hooker, Mighty Mo Hooker. I mean, isn't he a 140 pounder? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's for another day. I'm not trying to seclude you guys. I know you guys from Texas. The Mexican chick goes, boxing only matters in America. Japan could never compete with us. I mean, Japan has always competed against Mexico in the lower weight classes. There is a little unknown rivalry between Mexican fighters and Japan, right? Obviously, since you're Mexican, I'm sure that you've gone to Mexico. A lot of the nice freeways where you have to pay the quota, they're owned by Japan. Japan has a lot of history and ownership in the land of Mexico, right? Muchos chinitos allá. Nevertheless, if you look at the history, there's a lot of fights, amazing fights between Japan and the Mexican fighters. They have a very similar style. They have a lot of pride in that warrior code, like Chris Eubank Sr. likes to talk about. But yeah, I would say that Japan has done an excellent job in competing with not only just American fighters, but Mexican fighters, worldwide fighters. And again, you never want to take anybody lightly, man. Don't take and oversee them, just because they don't have a rich history. But if you really pay attention, they actually really do, right? And let alone, man, like, I guarantee you every single one of us in the comments right now has a Japan vehicle at home. At one point, you guys drove a Lexus or I don't even know if Lexus is Toyota, but I'm pretty sure every single one of you guys have had or operated a Toyota vehicle. Man, these guys are amazing. Every single one of you guys has played Nintendo. These guys are pioneers. Japan is legit, man. And everything they do, their football, their soccer team, they were amazing. Right? In the World Cup not too long ago, I think they got like third or fourth place. They're impeccable. And they're as short as Mexicans and as tall. And they have a great honorable culture and tradition. Bro, don't take them lightly, man. So they can definitely compete more than what you're giving them credit for. Sports Archives goes, Andrade got dropped by bums 3 times before the Benavides fight. Atlantes Fox, Vanes, and Demond Nicholson. Yeah, Nicholson dropped him with a body shot. They didn't count it, but they should have. Vanes dropped him with a 2-1, I think in the first or the second round. I don't really remember that Atlantes Fox fight. I know Atlantes Fox is that kid that's like 6'6", 6'4", but I don't really remember that fight. And I didn't even know that he dropped Andre. But yeah, Andre been a little chinny, man. Man, shout out to my boy Ruben Villa on the screen. Hopefully he fights relatively soon. I think he has 1 fight left with Top Rank. I know he's been calling out Luis Alberto El Venado Lopez, who he beats, because, Emmanuel Navarrete has moved up, and that's Ruben Villa, Dracula's only defeat. And, but yeah, Luis Venado Lopez had wanted no beef with my homie from the Central Coast in Ruben Villa. Regardless, hopefully he gets an opportunity to fight maybe that Mexican that beat Robeisy Ramirez in December. But I don't know. We'll see. Shout out to my boy Drac. The Mexican G goes, Benavides is more of a Mexican than Canelo. Canelo is clearly an Irishman. I root for Benavides because he is a mestizo like me. I actually have Japanese ancestry and just closer to my Mexican culture than anything. My dad is from Mexico, and so were his parents. Man, salute to you, man. But he said Canelo is Irishman. Bro, like to be a Mexican means that you have native blood in you and Spaniard blood. Guess what? Spaniards are European and they have Vikingo culture. That's where Canelo gets that color and freckles and beard and red hair, man. Come on, man. I thought you were Mexican. You're supposed to know all about the three sisters and the agriculture and the system of healing and the innovation of chocolate and all these things. And all of a sudden you want to dismiss Canelo because he's clearly an Irishman. Man, excuse me. It's funny, bro. Gotta love that, man. Gotta love that. Let me see if Speed and Drew are in here. And they are not, as always. They leave me in the wind. Yeah, I read that, man. Yeah, man. So, look, man. Hopefully Canelo makes a decision soon. Like we talked about in the last video, you know, he went on TV Azteca on the YouTube stream, and he announced that he made a 1-year deal. I wish he would have signed and made it a 5-year deal. You know, he said he had 5 years left. He said that he would be announcing his opponent relatively soon. He's going to be fighting a minimum of 2 times this year, Cinco de Mayo and, September as well. So there was a little bit of news, but he, didn't really give us what we were looking for, and that was an opponent selection. Some people were thinking about, maybe he's going to announce his retirement. Nevertheless, he didn't announce either opponent or his retirement, but actually told us that he would have 5 more years left in him. So let's say he's 32 years old now. He's basically going to retire around 37, a little under 40. He's not interested in exhibition fights at this moment, but he said maybe in the future he would be interested in fighting Jake Paul, right? Jake Paul would have youth on his side, and maybe 5 years from now, Jake Paul might become something. Obviously, he's got power, but nevertheless, Canelo is not going to be engaging in exhibition matches, but at least not anytime soon. Well, hopefully, we'll see if he fights Jaime Munguia. He said it wouldn't be a Mexican. He said it would be an American, right? We have Edgar Berlanga fighting this Saturday against his first undefeated fighter. And maybe Canelo does a special appearance there. I'm not exactly too sure. But moving on, man, to better and bigger things. Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya, he has signed Gabriela Fondora, right? The tall sister, the younger sister of Sebastian Fondora. Now, he signed her for a while ago. And the reason I highlight this is because he's working with the manager of David Benavides, and that's Sam Lukowicz. Maybe, right, because we don't really know what the particular details of Amazon Prime. We don't know how many fight dates does Al Heyman have or what the budget looks like to put his fighters on this roster. But maybe Golden Boy can, use his pull, use his gift of gab and try to reel in David Benavides to his stable. In fact, it would be a very interesting situation if he was able to land David Benavides, because then he would have a lot of fighters at 168. He would have David Benavides, he would have the Bully, and he would have Gabriel Rosado if he's still active. He would also have Jaime Munguia. And these are really good fights that he can keep and make David into a powerhouse. And that's a powerful move. It's like if you're playing Monopoly and you land on the green properties, you trade the green properties and you go for the light blue ones. You'd be like, why would you go for the light blue ones? Because you can build hotels, man, for like $50, where it's going to take you like over $300 to build on the green properties, right? That's what I'm talking about here. David can make power moves if he were to sign with if he were to sign with Oscar. Many years ago, he tried to hop over with his brother when he was with Top Rank, but they put a cease and desist letter on Top Rank because they let them know that David is still under contract. Hopefully, it's not that much of an exclusive deal anymore. Hopefully, guys like Jaron Boots Ennis and company are not tied down to PBC, or if PBC still exists, and maybe there were only exclusive Showtime fighters. Maybe David Benavidez had one of those deals with Showtime. Since Showtime is no longer in the picture, I don't see why Oscar wouldn't be able to get his hands on the cookie jar, negotiate with Sam Lukowicz, find out the details and particulars and what the timeline is of that contract, and get David on an active, boxing platform and on the zone. Hopefully that happens, because then you can make fights with Edgar Berlanga as well, and many other fights and fighters that Oscar De La Hoya has. Maybe even, who knows, a pretty big fight with Bivol. I can't really say Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez, because it looks like he's going to be campaigning at cruiserweight. I don't think David will skip 2 or 3 weight classes to make that fight. At one point, it would have been interesting, but I would hope Golden Boy tries his best to sign David Benavidez, because Drew sent me a link where, I don't know, I guess Golden Boy Oscar was playing virtual golf, and he had his Patrick Mahomes jersey, which is despicable. Like, bro, how you gonna root for Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs, when you're a California man and you should be rocking a Brock Purdy jersey? And anyway, he's in his tidy whities, he's playing virtual golf, and his girl is recording him. I mean, you can do whatever it is that you want. It's at the confines of your own home. You shouldn't have posted that, but he was like, "Stop it! What are you doing, bro?" It was funny, but nevertheless, man, it's just hopefully Oscar's taking care of business alongside with Eric Gomez. And they try to sign a lot of the fighters that he once had, because, PBC, Richard Schaefer, and Al Heyman did Oscar dirty. So maybe, the devil has run out of tricks and Oscar can get his hands back on of the roster that belonged to him, right? I'm not going to dive into a lot of rumors if Al Heyman's still in the picture, if even Al Heyman ever existed, and if it's always been Floyd Mayweather the whole time. But nevertheless, PBC has lost a lot of momentum. I got a question for you guys, man. What do you guys know about Alejandro Santiago, and are you guys giving him a chance to go over the Pacific and fight in Japan against Junto Nakatani? Are you guys aware of this fight this Saturday? And do you guys give the champion from Mexico the chance to upset? The Mexican G goes, Canelo is straight Irish. You ain't convincing nobody otherwise. Some Mexicans may have lighter skin due to their Spanish roots, but Canelo is clearly pure white. No Aztec blood at all. Yeah, man, he's got the Christopher Columbus blood on him, It's more of his bloodline. Look, man, I don't really care. Canelo reps his Mexican heritage and the culture, which is why he signed with Azteca TV for 1 whole year to give his Mexican fan base free access to his fights, rather than being on Univision and being, I don't know, or on on an app in Mexico or whatever the case may be, so their fans can watch him for free rather than paying top dollar, even if it was on a subscription base. Like, nah, you're going to be on local channels, and 20 and 30 million people are still going to tune in and watch me knock out amazing fighters. That's honorable. You see, David Benavidez wouldn't do that to his American fan base or his people in Arizona. No, he made his pay-per-view dollars for 2 fights that shouldn't have been on pay-per-view. That's why Canelo is greater than David Benavidez. Because when David Benavidez finally has his real test, Caleb Plant, let me put it on pay-per-view because I deserve a lot of money. Same thing with Demetrius Andrade. Guys, I'm going to sell you another amazing fight. And guess what? I got to put it on pay-per-view. Canelo, to his fellow Mexican fan base, he goes, nah, hermano, I'm going to fight for free. That's incredible. Now, you might think, it's not that big of a deal. But it just lets me know that you want to cry for David, just like David is crying for the WBC and pleading his case of why Canelo should be stripped. Shame on you. Horrible. Drew. Speed, if you guys are listening, man, you guys got to hop in, man. If not, I pretty much had everything to say. I don't need to keep these lives relatively long. I will say this, man. Yeah, man, I pretty much talked about everything that I really needed to talk about. Just wanted to keep it short. Talked about Mauricio Suleiman. Talked a little bit about football. I think I'm pretty much done. Let me text these guys, see if they want to hop on. If not, I'll keep it brief so you guys can go to your family, eat some food, watch some sports. If you guys are, man, I don't even know. There's like really no sports. You know, some type of league with The Rock, some continuation of football is going to be happening soon. I think the NBA week is on, they're on break. They just had the All-Star game not too long ago. And then I think basketball resumes on Thursday. There's no football. I doubt you guys watch hockey. If you guys do watch hockey, um, you know, I'm a big San Jose Sharks fan, but boy, oh boy, we suck. We had like 14 wins and 40 losses, but the tickets are like $20. So if you guys are in or around that area, you guys want to watch an amazing experience, you got to go to a San Jose Sharks hockey game. It's really fun, very cool, very refreshing. Probably one of the best experiences that I have is going to a hockey game. My favorite, I'm a baseball guy, so I played baseball for many years of my life, and I love going to the San Francisco Giants Stadium. I think it's the best stadium on all of baseball. And nevertheless, I just love that outdoor, the fog. You got McCovey. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But San Jose Sharks Stadium, indoors, the freshness of the ice, it just feels very relaxing, really good. And it's like everything that you ask for. You have the element of boxing because these dudes can fight. Then they have the speed of basketball where it's super high paced back and forth action. And then it's scored like soccer, right? 1-0, 2-1. Hockey is one of the greatest sports that people don't really talk about. But unfortunately, as popular as that San Jose Sharks are, they don't really have a history of winning. At one point, they had guys like Patrick Marleau, you know, Joe Pavelski, Joe Thorin, all of these guys, but they just couldn't piece it together and win. They were like great regular season, but come playoffs, man, they would choke. They wouldn't put it together. Or amazing goalies that would basically be like all pros, they would choke. Guys like Nabokov and things of that nature, Niemi, and we just couldn't win a Stanley Cup. Nevertheless, man, for $20, you can get yourself some seats, and it's a beautiful experience. It's really cool. It feels like you're in a concert too. Hockey is legit, man. But anyway, guys, I think I'm pretty much wrapped up. Let me text these guys if they want to hop on. But see if these guys text back. If not, boom, we're gonna call it a wrap. Sports Archives goes, I will jump in your panel one day. Yeah, man. Anytime, man. It's for all of us. Just to, talk a little bit of sports. I'm not. I like to argue a lot, but I'm not very argumentative. And there's really like no structure to it, so it's pretty simple, pretty easy. But yeah, the Mexican G goes, that is a fair point. I never thought of it that way. Well, the Zone one time tried to tell us that pay-per-view in America is dead. And I had wished that they lived up to those words because I did feel that pay-per-view is dead. Obviously, there are those big fights that are going to bring in the casual fan base, right? So there will always be pay-per-view. But I did love when the Zone was $10. For $10, $9.99, we were getting good fights. They weren't really established. And then all of a sudden, all this pay increase started to come up. The Zone became $19.99. Then it was $24.99. Then they were like, oh, if we want to have bigger and better fights, we got to make up the numbers to pay Canelo. We got to put it on pay-per-view. And then it became shenanigans all over again. And then the Zone just lost a lot of momentum. And they were really, well, at least Eddie Hearn, right? That Joe Markowitz guy and, John Skipper, they were very polite. But Eddie Hearn was very brash. Yeah, the transatlantic deal, pay-per-view was dead, and he had $1 billion budget. He was trying to poach all these PBC fighters. And all these PBC fighters, they're pretty dumb. They listened to the wrong people. Nevertheless, they missed out on a lot of money. But there were some fighters that did catch momentum and steam signing with the zone. Guys like Mikey Garcia, guys like Canelo Alvarez, and they benefited. Unfortunately, it didn't last that long, right? That curriculum, that rhetoric did not stand the test of time. And it was a shame. But there were a little bit of fighters that was, man, dude. I talked about it yesterday, but boxing is very illegitimate, and it sucks to see where the state of boxing is right now. Because they had so much momentum last year, and then all of a sudden we're losing it. We're losing it. You know, I can say the same about myself. I had a lot of good momentum last year, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, man. 2024 is kicking my ass. All right. I mean, in the sense that it could be better. Just like in terms of things that can uplift me, like my sports teams, my Niners get beat in the Super Bowl. You know, a couple of my cars break down, having issues fixing them up. I fix them all up, you know, and things of that nature. But I'm like, man, I could have been off to a much greater start. But yeah, boxing is kind of like the same thing. You know how it says it's like a microcosm of your life, and you know, there's a lot of adages and things. But yeah, man, it's beautiful though. Nevertheless, you know, you got to go with the pain. But things are coming up on the upside. Hopefully, boxing, you know, supersedes and they implement a lot of the themes. You know, just to give WBC president Mauricio Suleiman credit, I really do like what he's trying to implement, right? With having 4 or 5 or 6 judges in boxing, right? But kind of talked about it last night, and it's this. Why don't you guys have these judges share notes, compare their scores, and talk to one another and come to a consensus of who won the fight? You have one perspective. The other person has perspective B. You have perspective C. Talk it out, hash out, and see the notes, because the disparity of these scorecards, when 2 judges can see it, I don't know, 7-5, and then one dude comes out of the woodworks and say, no, this is 11-1. How can you justify that? And what sucks about boxing is that these refs and these judges do not get interviewed. I would like to pick the brain of an Adeline Bird that scores the fight for Canelo on a Mayweather fight. Why don't they have to justify their scored decisions, right? If I was getting arrested, and I talked about this in my life, so hopefully I'm not repeating myself for those active listeners that do tune in on a lively basis. But if I was getting arrested and then I had my defense team and you're the prosecution team, there's 11 jury people, right? They go into the jury room and then they come with a decision. They have to talk it out. How come we don't do that in the sport of boxing and have these judges that are supposed to be fair and impartial and have a criteria of scoring, relatively the same metric? Why can't they go into a room or talk with one another, share notes, and be like, who do you got? Who do you got? What'd you see? Oh, I had the 5th round really close. Why not? X, Y, and Z. But no, we allow the shenanigans to go. We don't really incorporate instant replay. On top of not incorporating instant replay, if you can't get it right with 3 judges, what makes you think you're going to get it with 5, 6, or 7? Why can't the fans have a little button that they can press on their seat? Sure, the fans are going to be biased, but never the case. Sometimes fans are very fair and impartial, especially on Twitter when they ask, oh, who do you guys think won the fight? And then they'd be like, oh, 60 was Bivol and 40 was Canelo. When it was like 80 Bivol, 20 Canelo. Yo, Drew, mic check really quick, brother. You hear that?
Yo, Rick. Yo, Rick. Hello? Rick.
Drew.
Yo, Rick.
What the hell?
Can you hear me?
Yo, am I tripping?
Yo, Rick.
Guys, real quick, can you guys hear Drew? I don't even know if you guys can hear me. Drew goes, I'm talking.
Yo. You hear that? Damn you. You can hear me, man. Yo. I think they can hear me, bro. Tripping on some pimping. Yo. Oh, I see what you did there. Wait, so I'm a little confused. You have to like mute yourself or what?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. For some reason, I don't know why my computer don't want to
For
allow
sure.
me to hear you here. What am I doing wrong?
But yeah, man, it's pretty much the same shit we are talking about when we ended it yesterday. Um, but yeah, man, it's the same BS. You know, same old shit with this guy. Don't I was telling you about the damn. I'm by myself. All right. Um, yeah, I was telling you about my opinion about your title. I was like, bro, why is this dude's title Benamierdas? I'm like, what did Benavides do? You know, what did Benavides do? So I'm like, Benavides just got one man to chase. He can't force Cartnelo to fucking fight. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. I didn't get your little title there, but yeah, man, I want to talk to you about those cards, man. What the hell? You want to leave on me and shit? But it's all good. Shit, I'm usually like the one answering your questions, but but yeah, man, it's pretty crazy, man. I was like, there's nothing really much to talk about on this one because this is what we ended it on the last subject. You know what I mean? But um, yeah, man, Canelo's on some BS. He's holding up the whole damn sport, and until I can't wait until he either like I can't wait till Suleiman, I guess, actually confirms all the stuff with the WBC mandatory stuff. Like I think that's the next roadblock, and I think he has no choice but to make him his mandatory. So I think I think it's just a lot of people are just running out of patience. It's more like not working towards Canelo's favor, not to wait. So it wouldn't make sense for him to wait longer, for him to get older, and for Benavides to get better, through time. So I don't think, man, it just doesn't make sense. Canelo's just like, fuck it, man. Just give him your best shot, man. Fuck it, Canelo. Like, there's people that have their gut feeling that, there's people out there saying that, yeah, Benavides is about to he if he fights him, he's gonna put him on the stretcher.
Woo.
And I'm like, damn, man, like stretcher as in what? And I'm listening, and they're elaborating. They're saying, bro, like they're gonna stop in the corner. Like they're gonna not continue the want. They're not gonna want to continue the fight anymore because he's just too much offense. And I'm like, dude, that'll be horrible for Canelo's image. Like that'll be absolutely horrible. But what that means is Benavides will be the face of boxing, pretty much. Once that happens, he will become the face of boxing. And he'll be pressured to fight the guys up there. But guess what? That face of boxing image, I just feel like he would have to move smarter because there's so many dudes with power, that walking around his size, and we've seen him get dropped, you know. But I seen the odds too. They would have Canelo favored, and it's just so crazy because people are telling me otherwise, and this isn't the most split I've felt, but consensus says David beats him, and pretty much the odds just don't say that. They say, nah, dude's gonna beat him. And
Do
I'm
you
like,
think David beats Canelo?
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, but not in the manner that people think.
Do
I
you
think
think David is better than Triple G?
it's just how you think better. Like, there's so many things that
All right.
Triple G did. Like,
Does
they're
David hit harder than Triple G? Does he have a better jab than Triple G? Does he have a better chin than Triple G? Like,
all
is
those
David
no
better than Triple G in any criteria?
heart,
Power or,
heart.
heart.
Yeah,
Triple G has never been dropped.
that's because he has a good foundation. I feel like
David
David.
has horrible foundation.
Yeah,
He has bad feet.
yeah. So there you go. Um, yeah, it's just that's foundation, bro. And I feel like they say that David's a strong ass dude, but I feel like he just got that wire strength. You know, he's not bulky, but I feel like he's pretty fucking strong. And I think Triple G's built a little differently. I think he packs he packs more of the punch to where his power would translate through some weight classes. I know David's at 168 already, but I'm saying Triple G's a 160 pounder. And I think Triple G was hitting as hard as a 168 pounder. He got old, but I think if Triple G was in his prime and he decided to fight at 168, he would have had he would have been pretty devastating. But he's old now. But David David got heart. David's got heart, and he's punch outlet. He's not gonna stop, bro. Like I think he's doing this to damn near he can't do it no more type of shit. Like it's too he's not gonna stop until his body tells him to stop type of shit, you know. So he's coming with that real Mexican heart, you know. And I feel like the odds just think that Canelo's gonna win, and I'm like, the only way I could see it happening is if he literally breaks David. He literally has to break something.
He would hurt David to the body, bro.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I'm like ribs. Probably the ribs. And he'll probably just the pain. That's a different type of pain, bro, because that's a pain that's lingering and it doesn't go away when you're taking headshots. Uh there's it's more like I feel like headshots, the dudes that can take headshots, they don't feel those pain. They just get knocked out. You know, that's why they get knocked out because they don't feel the pain. They just their body just responds and they don't listen to their body. But um David's been dropped and David's build, I feel like his stomach's a little pudgy. You know what I'm saying? Like just a little bit. Like he's strong everywhere else, but it's just I just feel like I that's a different type of pain, bro, cuz you of course you could only get hit from the waist up, but I think that's a unique area and it stings like a motherfucker, bro. And
I would say this, bro. I would say
yeah.
it's 65-35 in favor of Canelo. I'm gonna give David a chance to beat Canelo because he's young and he's reckless. And those are two things that are your detriment, but also can work in your favor. Canelo is showing signs of slowing down. He is having a lot of surgery and wear and tear. And he doesn't look like the same fighter that he's had in the past. And David is more or less peaking, right? He's, like I said earlier, he's crossing out the X's and O's. He's hiring the proper team around him and he's doing the right moves to build a career. And these are very good things for David. But Canelo does hit harder.
Yeah, he
Singular
does.
punch, he does hit harder than David Benavidez. He was able to create space and distance on Caleb Plant and knock him out, where David couldn't do that. So it lets me know that punch selection, punch placement, and systematically breaking down a fleet-footed fighter and Caleb Plant, Canelo's IQ was that much superior to
Mhm.
David Benavidez. David, when he fought Caleb Plant, I thought David Benavidez won. I want to say like
Bro,
8 rounds, 9 rounds to 3, 8-4, 9-3. And the reason being
Caleb, go ahead.
how David won rounds, he completely dominated rounds. They weren't even close. And
Yeah,
how Caleb Plant was winning rounds, it was like touch jab here.
yeah,
There was no punches. They were just like,
right.
oh, they just
Amateur style.
absolutely. So it was like when Caleb Plant was winning rounds, it was a small margin. When David won rounds, it was completely dominated. And then not only you would see the effects of the punches, almost like how a man would hit versus a kid. And you saw David basically unblemished, unscathed, and you saw the wear and tear and the detriment of punishment on Caleb
Hmm.
Plant's face to the point
Right.
where it could have been stopped. But
Hmm.
David could not create separation and dig to the body in which he needed to and throw his flurries of shots to put Caleb Plant away, let alone
Right.
knock him down off the clinch. So it
Right.
just
And
lets me know from every other criteria of boxing, Canelo is that much superior. But David, if he can withstand the punishment of Canelo, he can hurt Canelo late. Um, Canelo has always had stamina issues since that 154 when he fought guys like Perro Angulo. He did show stamina issues at 160, right? When he fought guys like Triple G. Even at 168 or even 175, when he fought guys like Bivol, you can see him gas out if
It's
you can withstand the punishment. And even at 168 with John Ryder, he started off hella sharp 8 rounds. Once we got to the championship rounds, John Ryder started having a lot of success. So yeah, I would, yeah, man, it'd be a good fight.
yeah, no, it's truly like a clash of heart versus power. And I think Benavides is banking on his heart, and he's actually really like confident in the power that he has. It sounds like, but just by the way he sounds in the interviews and stuff. But I think with that Caleb Plant fight, bro, Caleb is an undefeated 3-round fighter, right? The first 3 rounds, I don't think he's ever lost, right? And I think and there's a big reason why he's like this eight-time national Golden Glove champ. It's because he's winning these first 3 rounds and he's really good at it. But I think it doesn't last for the next 8 rounds, you know. Um, so he was perfect for that amateur shit, but I think once you get physicality on him, one
Yeah,
way or another, he's gonna go down. And I think
very good point.
Benavides is really banking on his physicality more than he is on his power. He's rather it's more of a wrestling match, right? Like, but on your feet, right? And he's gonna try to smother you. His punch selection, like or punch placement, I mean, isn't the best because he does miss, and he even against lower opposition than Plant. But I mean, he's over physical. Like he's just in really good shape, right? Like who was the conditioning guy that you said that he had?
Memo Heredia.
Yeah. So I looked into that guy. I was like, yeah, that dude knows his shit. And
Yeah,
the way he trains, I'm like, that's like, I'm not gonna compare it to Coach Danny, but he kind of does different workouts, and their intervals aren't like they don't stop, bro. Like they just don't fucking stop, and they drill the same fucking shit, like the same punch for a whole hour straight. So and with the same amount of power in for an hour straight, and I'm like, damn, that's some pressure right there. So I think Canelo knows what comes with David, and I think as you get older, it's hard to push yourself. But I think when you want to prove somebody wrong so bad, I think he's Canelo's old, but he's not old. It's not to where he can't fucking move. It's more like he was just fighting to conserve his energy. But for this fight, I think he's really gonna lay it on the table, and I think he's really gonna willing to take one to give one. You know, and and I hope he does. I mean, I hope because a lot of people just believe he's gonna win. I think I'm starting to believe the people just because they're so the people. It's who's saying it, right? It's the people like Teddy Atlas and other people that are saying people who I respect personally, like they're saying all this shit, and I'm like, man, you out of all people, man, I would thought you would have said Canelo. So I mean, obviously the odds are most of the time are right, so um that's just what how it comes, and yeah, I feel like Benavides is just gonna bank on his heart. Like I think Benavides is also in a sense kind of um underestimating the power a little bit. Because he acts like he's never been knocked, or he sounds like he's never been knocked out or seen stars before, you know. And when you start seeing stars, there's nothing much to do about that, right? You
when
just
you
get
start
knocked
seeing
out.
stars,
Yeah, when you start seeing stars, like, because I'm saying Benavides sounds like he ain't never seen any of that. Like it sounds like
I would say not professionally. When
yeah,
Ronald Gabriel dropped him, it was not like
a
David was
flash.
extremely hurt. It was his feet were not under him and they were badly positioned. So when he
Right.
got hit, I think it was by a left hook or something, he just kind of like fell, but he got up immediately, kind of smiled, and he was like, all right, let's go. He's like, It wasn't like he was on spaghetti legs like when Jose Angel Cotto, hurt Canelo and then had Canelo, on deer legs from one corner to the other. Like David wasn't like that. So I don't think he's seen stars. Maybe in sparring for sure. It's dehydration, 15
Right.
sparring rounds against guys like Triple G. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he got his shit rocked and he was like, damn, bro. Like, but I'm pretty sure at that time he was weighing like over 200 pounds. So,
Mhm.
he's always, I don't know. I don't
He
know.
sounds the most confident right now. Like right now, mentally, he's at his peak right now, and it's probably not even his peak. There's probably another level waiting for him once he beats Canelo.
All right,
Because
hold on. Let me read
go
some of
ahead.
the comments real quick. So El Pachuco goes, Benavides dug Canelo when he re-signed with PBC for a 3-fight deal. He should have gone over to Matchroom to get the Canelo fight. Canelo was doing business with Hearn at the time. The Mexican G goes, man, it's the other way around. Isa Licious goes, yes, she can hear us. And Pachuco goes, beating Andre doesn't make you a monster. This is all Mike Tyson's fault for calling Benavides the Mexican monster. People ate that crap up and repeated it as if it was gospel. The Mexican G goes, then why doesn't Canelo fight him? Which Benavides are you guys watching? Plant won the first 6 rounds against Benavides. Then he gassed out to reinforce Drew's statement that Caleb Plant is only a 3-round fighter. And Pachuco goes, Canelo is going to have an easy time with Benavides. I hope they do make that fight in May. And Pachuco further goes and states, rumors are that Canelo is waiting for the PBC to guarantee his pay for the Canelo versus Benavides fight in May. If the PBC can't oblige to the guarantee, then the Munguia fight is back on the table. Yeah, that's very interesting. That would be. Well, we'll get to that statement. Let me highlight it just so I don't forget it. Over here, back on the table, just in case I forget it. The Mexican G goes, Munguia, I'd rather see him fight Crawford instead. Munguia is a horrible fighter. Wow, man, you taking some. Man, you got
Wow,
like that against your Mexican contemporary
that's
and
crazy,
wow.
man.
All right, and Pachuco goes, Benavides fought David Lemieux for crying out loud. Imagine if Canelo fought someone like Lemieux. The criticism would be through the roof. Well, he did fight somebody like that. His name is Rocky Fielding. And Pachuco goes, yeah, right, man. Munguia beats Benavides. The Mexican G goes, no way. Benavides would stop Munguia
I
easy.
know. I
Oh,
agree.
man. I would say, all right.
It's
First
a
and foremost,
size.
just to
It's a size
the
difference.
not really. But the Mexican G goes, Munguia is a horrible fighter. Nah, Munguia is an amazing fighter, but he is a very flawed boxer and does not move his head off the center line,
How
and he gets hit extreme like too
how
much, man,
could you?
too much. And he could not get hit by David Benavides or else he's getting dropped. David Benavides is hits way harder and is very punch savvy, right? In terms of his flurries. If Jaime were to just stand there like he did against Sergey Derenchenko, Benavides would destroy him. But
Yeah.
if he decides to move around and fight smart like he did against John Ryder, then Jaime's got some talent. And I think, and I'm really excited that he teamed up with Freddie Roach. And I just hope that they continue to fight and be active with Jaime because Jaime and Ryan Garcia are fighters that just fit the Freddie Roach style of being taught by Freddie, where he's not going to
Mhm.
reinvent the wheel, but he's going to make you throw a bunch of trancazos and then just fine
Mhm.
tune a little bit of your defense, but your offense is going to be your best defense. And Jaime and Freddie Roach and Ryan and Freddie Roach, that would just mesh extremely well. And nevertheless, I'm super excited for the career of Jaime. This is finally the wisest decision, in my opinion, that he's done, teaming up with Freddie, and I just can't wait. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Hopefully, Jaime Munguia fights that guy, the bully, Malakuziev, and then we can keep the momentum going from it. Let me see. There was another thing that we could go really quick, and then all right. So rumor is Canelo is waiting to fight the PBC for guaranteed pay versus Benavides in May. If the PBC can't oblige the guarantee, then Munguia fight is back on the table. I don't. The last after your comma, the Munguia fight is back on the table. I think Canelo's going to be very firm that he doesn't want to fight Mexicans. And what I mean by that is he's definitely not fighting a full-fledged, thoroughbred Mexican in Jaime Munguia. He's not fighting him. I don't think he ever will. But that leads us to the controversy is, does Canelo accept David Benavidez as a Mexican, or does he look at him as the other? Does he look at David Benavidez and will he treat David as an American fighter, right? Because David is born here, stateside in the United States, and he speaks, Spanish and English, but he's an American fighter. What do you think, Drew? Do you think Canelo views David Benavidez as an American rather than a Mexican fighter? David has never fought, to my knowledge, in Mexico, right? And
Mhm.
he can wear la bandera roja, and he can say "Viva Mexico." But do you think Canelo views as him as a Mexican?
Nah, man, I think he wants to be real technical and keep your hopes up. Um, that's my feeling. But I just thought about this, right? Um, why wouldn't they? I mentioned this actually yesterday, but they should actually do like like an announcement or something, because they're trying to set up um a fight for September as well. So I think a fill-in fight against Jamal would, obviously it's a horrible fucking fight, but it's a guaranteed win for Canelo. But they're trying to set that. I forget the exact reason why it would benefit them to actually have it not in May but in September due to like preparation and due to the fact that I think May
But
date
announce
is
what though? You said that they should announce what for September?
no, announce a fight for May because May is just too soon. Like I think it's about. I was gonna say it's 7 to 8 weeks, but I think it's already kind of too late for that date. If I'm
For the
wrong,
May for the
from
May
our
fight?
yes, to isn't
I
it
don't think so. I think we're barely in February, bro. May is 3 months
one,
from now. All
two,
you really need is,
two
if you
months?
have been training,
How many?
you don't need
How
that
many
much
months?
for a fight.
Yeah,
Less than two, like really less than two. These fighters just
really?
have been very, spoiled that they're like, man, I only need to fight twice a year. But really, bro, you only need less than 2 months to prepare, unless you're trying to be a big ass weight bully. But bro,
Right.
8 week camp is more than enough time.
Yeah,
Especially
I
if
had
you're
to.
acting as a professional and training year round, you don't need no more than 8 months. A whole month of sparring, focusing on technique, and the last month of just properly doing your weight cut, sparring as well, and boom, it's go time.
Right.
But if you want to walk around 200 pounds, lose 50 pounds, yeah, you're gonna need a fat camp. You need 4 fucking months. But aside from that, nah, bro, you don't need that much time.
Mm,
Again, these fighters just got extremely complacent, and they've gotten a little bit of spoiled with these long, these enormous paydays, where $1 million is a lot of money and you can do a lot with that money. But if they only really focus, if they really focus and they'd be like, man, I can really turn this 1 million and fight 6 times this year, that's $6 million with a whole lot of momentum and boom, 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 boom. They can keep on riding the wave, but no, they're comfortable staying and fighting 1 year, having these fat camps where they need 4 or 5 months to lose a gang of weight. And then next thing you know, they get injured because they're pushing their body, in which they shouldn't be if they're just training year round. And then we're ready to go. But these fighters are extremely flawed and have things backwards. And they lost what it means to be poor. That's really what it means to, because when they were poor, they were active, right? Because
mhm.
they're like, man, I need to get back out there because these $5,000 checks, this $25,000, it's not enough, especially to once everybody gets a cut, the managers, the promoters, my nutritionists, bills. They're like, man, I need to fight 10 times a year. That's what Richard Torres is doing, Emiliano Vargas, Abdullah Mason, Tiger Johnson, Shushu Carrington. And then once you get to that 20 fight mark, okay, now I'm getting paid six figures, over 100K, and things of that nature. And then, their bellies get a little full. And then some want more. And then some start getting complacent. So it's really like the dichotomy of a fighter to always remember what it means to fight on an empty stomach. So like, for example, You know, you got a couple family members that train professional fighters. I got a couple of amateur fighters that fight damn near twice a month, and they walk around the same weight. But for some reason, when these guys turn professional, oh, you know, I don't want to fight these guys in my weight because these guys are much bigger. And all of these excuses. Look, I kind of deviated from the idea, but nah, man. Canelo has more than enough time to announce a fight on May. You know, 3 months, 4 months is like actually too much time. You know, but
Mhm.
you did talk about how Canelo is not old, you know, but he does have a lot of wear and tear. I mean, the guy's getting near 70 fights. 70 fights in this day of age is damn near unheard of. You know, it's almost impossible for these fighters to get close to 40,
Right, and I
especially at the how they're moving. Like, do you think Keyshawn Davis will get close to 40 fights? No. The dude has like 10 fights barely. He's 25 years old. You think he's got 30 more professional fights in him? Bro, he's already calling out Teofimo Lopez just because he beat
mm,
Pedraza. Shakur Stevenson, you think he's going to crack over 40? By the time he's 38, maybe. I don't know. But these guys don't seem to be as hungry or motivated as a Terrence Crawford. Look at Jamal. Look at Jamel. Look at Errol Spence. They're barely a little over 30 fights, maybe under still 30, and they're probably already done from the sport of boxing. So
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know if so Canelo has a lot of mileage on him, you know.
yeah. No, I think it's depending on the war that you have with that, in those fights. I think Canelo also had a lot of easy fights. I think he didn't need to
Name them.
work as hard, huh?
Name them.
Khan, easy work. Kirkland, easy work. Um, let's see who else. Um, Obviously Angulo gave him somewhat of a hard time, but easy work. Um, Lara didn't really do anything to him. Um, so I mean, I think it's really the ones that he started moving up. Once he started moving up, that's when he started to really have the toll on his body, really had to use a little bit more muscle. But I mean, for the most part of his career, bro, it's been a fucking breeze, you know. Yeah, I can't really name like there is wars that he had, but I'm telling you, it's more at the heavier weights after like Triple G or a little some before that as well. But yeah,
But
rounds are
also,
rounds though. He still got rounds. I agree. He still has, I don't know, 100 over 100 something rounds, 140 rounds or something like that. But I'm telling you, man, I think he he's cemented his legacy so much that he doesn't worry about things to a certain extent. But I'm telling you, this fight, when people are talking up so much shit, it's just a different mentality. It's like getting Nick Bosa all year. He played like shit all year, and then he played great in the Super Bowl. It's different. It's just like that with Canelo. This is his Super Bowl.
yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. Canelo has had a couple of easy fights, but nothing is easy. And
Did
what
you
I
hear my
mean,
Nick Bosa analogy?
no, I heard you. I heard you. But let me put it to you like this: since you in sports archives love talking football, and you guys we always reference sports and football crossover with boxing. But let me put it to you like this: even on the easy games that Niners had, let's say when we smoked the Philadelphia Eagles, when we smoked the Dallas Cowboys, when we beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we beat all these teams by a big margin, right? Like 30 to like 5 type of score. The preparation for that week, it's embedded through your head that, man, this is playoff football. So you're going to practice extremely tough and then lay it all on the line on those revenge games, right? What I'm saying
Yes.
is Canelo preparing for a fight like Miguel Cotto and Erislandy Lara and Austin Trout, Shane Mosley, Kermit St. Tron, Danny Jacobs, undefeated Callum Smith, undefeated Billy Joe Saunders, undefeated Caleb Plant, moving up, gaining weight for Sergey Kovalev, moving up, gaining weight for Dmitry Bivol. Imagine the rigorous sparring, weightlifting. This is why Canelo has had surgeries on both of his knees.
Yeah,
because
that's
the
facts.
training camps are excruciating. You have to break. You want to know how to dance a horse?
Hmm.
Oh man, you gotta break him, right? You want to go to SeaWorld and see, the killer whales like Shamu, wet the fans and do flips and all these things. You have to make sure that they only hear you. It's not easy to break and mold
Yeah,
certain fighters and certain animals to obey orders, right? It's like
right.
Pavlov's dog, you know what I mean? It's positive
But what?
reinforcement at the same time, but
Let me ask
those
you a question.
camps are tough for Canelo. So if he makes it look easy, even for an Amir fight, remember he was supposed to fight Triple G after Cotto, and then he lost a bunch of weight to deplete himself to fight Liam Smith and Amir Khan. Amir Khan was
Wait,
tagging Canelo.
from
Damn near
what weight to
5
weight?
rounds until he got knocked out.
What
So
weight?
that
What
weight
weight
cut,
to what weight?
from I don't know 159 Cotto weight, and then because Canelo wanted to fight for the middleweight belt, full fledged at 160, but Cotto was like, nah, bro, I won't fight. I'll fight you at 159. Canelo was like, all right, for sure. So then he went down to 155 to fight Amir Khan, then 154 for Liam Smith, then 164 for Chavez Jr. That weight manipulation, it's
Yeah,
it's intensive
I
and it's
agree.
very difficult.
I agree.
And again, they might look easy on paper or at the end of the results, but the preparation to make things look easy, man, you got to put in the time. You got to put in the
Right.
work.
So I
And
didn't know that.
Melo is not a young 31-year-old man. That dude is, yeah,
Kodo?
man. I think he said 5 years, but honestly, maybe one or two left if we're being realistic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like the way he's fighting, it looks like that, right? And
Yeah,
for him to save five, it was mind blowing. I was like,
absolutely.
wow, that's good news. That's good news because we want to continue to see you fight. But man, just like it also look your image is so important to the fan base. Like we don't want no memes about a legend. Like
Yeah.
a legend should be a legend forever, and especially nowadays. Now this time during this age with technology, like they make memes out of you, man, and it lasts. Those are forever, and it's just like sad, but
Is
uh
Canelo is Canelo robbing us of that experience to witness Triple G versus Canelo, or Marco Antonio Barrera versus Eric Morales, or a Pacquiao versus Marquez? Is Canelo robbing us? Do we see a trilogy with him and David Benavides? Is he robbing us of those
no,
amazing moments?
I think in reality he's been giving us so much. um it's his body, man. It's his body that's not catching up with our
It's
expectations.
his pride, bro. He's
uh
robbing us
it's
of
a
those fights,
Hold
bro.
on, let me
Him
say
and
it. Let me
Jaime
finish.
Munguia. Go for it. Go for it.
Let me finish.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
it's it's pride too, right? That's what I'm saying. When pride pushes an old man, it's different. You know, it's different energy. So when you push someone to push someone for not for the money but for the pride, you get a different type of person. And I feel like you get you fight for pride, money's out the table. Canelo's gonna once Canelo takes this L or dub, it's either gonna put more pressure on him or it's gonna be less pressure, obviously. But as long as as long as he, doesn't be put on the highlight reel, then I feel like he almost doesn't care, you know. He's gonna give him a good shot, obviously, but that's why I feel like, the price has to be right for Canelo because, you
Canelo
know,
does not care about becoming a meme, bro. You see
bro,
what I'm
he's so
saying?
prideful.
No fighter goes, oh man, I'm in this 10th round. This is a barn burner. This is a dog
Right.
fight. And oh man, I'm just
The
gonna box
fans,
up and
no,
shut
I'm
up because
saying
I don't want to become a meme. Nah, bro. They
the
can't
fans
think
care.
like that, bro.
I said the fans care. His image, it's important.
I
You know.
think Canelo cares about is it like every fighter, every person in this world cares about their image and how they're, cementing their legacy. But more importantly, Canelo, he has a lot of pride in wanting to fight the best. I think you shared a post earlier today where if he fights Bivol, he dug Beterbiev. If he fights Beterbiev, he dug Benavides. If he fights Benavides, he dug Shamar Charlo. Basically saying like, I can't win. This is mind blowing. This is frustrating. right? I think you shared that, or Canelo has shared it on his IG or whatever the case may be. And the way I look at it is pretty much this, right? Canelo takes it like, oh man, this is so much confusion. This is blasphemy. You guys are all over the place. You guys are never content. That's the lamest excuse of a champion that I've ever heard or seen. For Canelo to post that, it's like, duh, that's your
Mhm.
fucking job, dude. If you're a champion, you're supposed to always fight the best. It's not supposed to be fucking easy, especially if you're only gonna fight once or twice a year. If you were fighting 10 times a year, yeah, sure, dude, go beat the 1,000 rated fighter at 168 because you're giving us 10 fights, Canelo. Knock these guys out easy. Do a global scale. Fight in Arkansas. Go fight in Wisconsin. Go fight in New York. Go fight in Massachusetts and beat these guys that are rated 800. But, dude, you're only giving us 2 fights a year, sometimes even 1. Recently in 2021, you gave us 3 fights, but that's a fucking anomaly because you get suspended every other 2 years for clenbuterol, and then boom, you give us some fights. So for him to post that comment on his or his post, it's like, duh, dude, that's your job. Bivol and all of these fighters are under the same scrutiny, but guess what? They learn from you, Canelo. Tank learns from you. He don't want to fight Devin and all of these dudes and Shakur and Lomachenko because guess what? If he fights Rolly, he ducked this guy. If he knocks out Rolly, then he ducked Ryan. If he fight Ryan, then he ducked Devin. If he knocks out Devin, it's just like they're basing it on the same logic as that, and there's no respect. Dude, when this guy robs us of these amazing experiences between him and Jaime, him and David Benavidez, at 168, we're not asking you to go fight Anthony Joshua. We're not asking you to fight Artur Beterbiev, especially after you got beat by Bivol. We're just asking you to fight guys in your weight class because they're in your weight class. This guy, it's disgusting how he posts that message. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty like what's the word? Um Childish, you know? It's pretty
Yeah.
childish. Cuz you're right. It's pretty fucking obvious. I mean, man, I was going to go back to your whole like
He's robbing us, bro. He's robbing us of
yeah,
that amazing fight with him and David Benavidez. Because believe you me, it will be an amazing fight if it were to
because
ever happen. No
because right now you
disrespect
were
to
just
Edgar
saying
Berlanga.
because right now you were just saying that he had a bunch of rounds, and now you're saying that it's his pride. Which
No,
one is
no,
it?
well, those are two separate arguments. One is, he does have a lot of wear and tear, but since he's still a champion, since he's still undisputed, and since he has 5 years left, why not David Benavidez? You see, again, I'm not a big fan of
And what
David because I understand the shenanigans, but it's like Canelo engages in the shenanigans. You see, he for a lot of his career as
a
well.
little more than usual.
A little, yeah. If we're gonna be fair, Canelo did have Canelo weight. He was fighting the Amir Khans in the world, right? And at one time he entertained an Errol Spence fight. He entertained a Jermell Charlo fight, 14 pounds. These
Yeah.
are shenanigan fights. Fighting Chavez Jr. at 164 are shenanigan fights. So
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, all of a sudden, when we want you to fight credible opponents, because those
Mhm.
fighters are credible at one set of time in their careers, Jamal, David, and all of these guys, Demetrius Andrade. One time they were these boogeymans. They had a lot of momentum. All of a sudden, it's a problem for Canelo, right? Even for him to fight Bud Crawford, it's a problem. But when Errol Spence was calling you out, Canelo, you were like, in the future, maybe we can maybe meet up in catchweight. But when it comes to Bud Crawford, no. So it's like Canelo, again, he holds all the power. He's Thanos. He has all the Infinity Stones. He has all the colors of the belts of the spectrum. He has the pull. He has the money. He has the following base. You ain't gonna tell this dude to do anything. But in all fairness, you see, Canelo has always engaged in the shenanigans. And in that post that he put, oh, if I fight this guy, I don't please these fan base. If I fight his fan base, I don't please these people. That was the most asinine slap in the face post that he can ever put on his social media, because it lets you know his where his mind frame is at, and it's ridiculous. Because Sergio Maravilla told us when he sat down on the face-off with Max Kellerman and Chavez Jr. He told him el turno para ser campeón, no nomás el camino, pero cuando ya eres, siempre va a ser difícil. You will always fight the toughest opponents. And Sergio he only seems to be the only one or a few fighters that understand that. And it's disgusting, bro. Like it really is. But I think
Yeah,
it's
I was gonna ask you one last question, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or one question. What point do you think Canelo's like like his where do you think he kind of dropped off at? Like where was that fight at? Was it after the Triple G fight? Before that? What
No,
fight kind of where do you think where we identified his trajectory kind of going on the downside?
yeah, as of right now, I don't think Canelo has any downside. I thought he looked spectacular against Jermel Charlo. Canelo was very patient. He was very methodical. It's not like he went for broke against Charlo. No, he was very defensively savvy. I think Jermel only caught him with a few left hooks, and they were mostly counter hooks. He was very patient, and he was able to knock down and show class and
Hmm.
how he was superior to Jermel and a smaller fighter. He looked really good against John Ryder. Sure, there was maybe 3 rounds where John Ryder was using his headbutt and throwing some shoulder bumps on the inside that made him look like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. But he looked amazing in that fight when he fought in
Hmm.
Mexico. Even prior to that, even against Bivol,
Hmm.
it was just a miscalculation of how great Bivol is
Is
at
yeah.
that respective weight class. It's not like
I think.
Canelo looked like shit. No, it was
Hmm.
competitive. In fact, that
Yeah.
was the most competitive fight to date in Bivol's career. And Bivol has said, Canelo is the hardest puncher that I faced. He hits
Yeah.
harder than Zurdo and all of these dudes. So, I don't think he looked horrible against Bivol. And think right now Canelo is at his best moment. But
That's
to
what I was
answer
gonna
your
say.
question, where he looked or where he fell off is in terms of his credibility is when he ducked Triple G. Then he popped dirty. He had to absolve himself with a hair follicle test and all of these things.
I'm saying
And then he
physically.
went down and fought Amir Khan. I was like,
Physically.
wow, I didn't know Canelo would do things like that. But if you really pay attention, when he fought Josecito Lopez broke Victor Ortiz's jaw. And then he was like, hey, small man, move up to 154. Josecito wasn't going to back down from a career paycheck, and he got bodied. So there's always been, because Canelo's always been consistent. So I can't say that Canelo has fallen off at any time in his career because he's played his cards perfectly. It's not easy to get all Infinity Stones like Thanos. Took that dude a long time as the Mad Titan, right?
Yeah.
Canelo's doing everything right, bro. And he
Yeah.
doesn't look to be slowing down until I see him like get dropped, until I see him not make weight, until I see him be very inactive. But on the contrary, he's been the opposite. The dude
Yeah.
has been active, beating a lot of amazing fighters. Salute to him, bro.
Yeah. I think you're right. Like I think what is happening is that's what comes with going up in weight. I think he's been the same fighter. I think he's just facing the better fighters at the heavier weights. You know, um, faced Kovalev. That wasn't the best 175 pounder. Made him look great though. But in reality, Bivol was the best 175 pounder before we started seeing Beaterby. But I think that's what comes with it. You know, I think his body was filling in throughout the years because he said, "Hey, I'm not going back down to 160, so I'm gonna keep all this weight." And it takes literally like multiple, like I've said this before, multiple training camps to actually fill in your body to your desired weight. You know, and I think yeah, it takes months, and I think he's just facing the harder fighters. I think we've seen his match against Triple G, and then we're like, damn, he belongs, And I didn't know that whole fluctuation timetable that you just told me with him going up and down. I think that's where we Canelo kind of was trying to figure out his body and what trajectory and weight classes he wanted to go. Because I think around that time is when I started hearing rumors about the 168 weight class, and I'm like, fuck, like why, And he did it. He managed to clear out that weight class besides Benavides, and um, that's pretty much the cherry on top, bro. Like this nullifies the loss against Bivol. We kind of forget the Bivol loss if he knocks out Benavides, obviously. So yeah, I think he's been the same fighter. I think it's the style that he has to fight because of his stature as well. You know, um, example Rocky Fielding. Or no, I'm sorry. Kind of, yeah. I guess I can say that too. But I was gonna say, um, Colin Smith. Lengthy dude. He really needs to get in the inside to really get to him. So I think he was just adjusting to the styles. So yeah, man. I think
Let
if
me
you
ask
get
you
like,
this, because you
go ahead.
brought Bivol. Do you think Canelo would rematch Bivol before he fights David Benavides and or a Bud Crawford?
Um, See, this that was one of my wish list, like some on my wish list, right? Like I want him to get back on Bivol, because I think he can beat him. He just really underestimated him and his heart. Um, because he did exactly what he needed to do to win that fight. And I think Canelo kind of underestimated it, but I think getting that fight would actually kind of I'll be all right. That gives him a little buffer, you know, for that Benavides fight, But um, yeah, no, I think that'll kind of that'll satisfy me in a sense, And
So
then
Bivol is scheduled to
yeah,
fight Artur Beterbiev in Saudi Arabia in the
woo,
Riyadh season during,
let's
the
fucking
summer,
go.
like around June or July.
This was my want.
Realistically, that's what Canelo's waiting for. Like he wants, like you said, he wants that get back with hopefully the winner, which would probably be Bivol. It would probably be a little easier. He's never fought with Bob Arum or on ESPN, so I don't know what kind of new system that he would have to, play under and oblige with them and
Mhm,
2-3 fight deal with them in order to get the Artur Beterbiev if Beterbiev were to KO Bivol. But,
mhm.
obviously that would be in Canelo's interest if Bivol were to beat Beterbiev and become undisputed. Canelo would definitely want that fight. But yeah, man, I think, you know, Bivol has said that he would come down to 168. He's not really interested in fighting Canelo at 175 because there's no belts on the line. But yeah, man, that would be very interesting. I know Canelo. So that leads us to wonder: will Canelo take a soft touch in the meantime, just to wait to see what and who the winner is between Bivol and Beterbiev, and then look to fight his next fight in September at 175? You know what I
And
mean?
then and then Benavides in 2025. Yeah, it's like Jamal. I mean, my bad, Jamal. Dumb,
Yeah.
which would be dumb. Um, Jamal, wait, and then if Beterbiev wins, then he knows he can't fuck with Beterbiev. Or what do you think about that? If they were to fight,
Who and who? Jamal and
better
Beterbiev?
no Beterbiev Canelo.
Oh man, I think Beterbiev will knock out Canelo, bro.
Yeah, see, so I think he wouldn't want to fuck with that. So boom, there you go. September Benavides.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if Beterbiev is undisputed, Canelo could, kind of like lie to himself and be like, well, he's 40 years old. He's 40 years old. I can beat this dude. But I don't know, man. That's Beterbiev is nasty. Let me see. Arturo Beterbiev.
Arturo.
Because Canelo said that he's going to be fighting, in Cinco de Mayo, and he's also going to be fighting American. Right now, I'm checking BoxRec to see who is an American at 175.
Bro, that was one of my that was my number one fight that I wanted to make right there. And I said that last year in August. I said that's my number or yeah, I said that's my number one fight. Bivol versus Better Beef.
So there's no Americans in the top 15 at 175,
Mm.
but there are a guy named Charles Foster and Richard Rivera. Now I've never heard of these guys.
That's Popeye Rivera, I think.
Charles Foster,
That
Charles
dude's
Foster
name.
is 22-1,
You don't
and
remember
then
Popeye?
Richard Rivera is 25-1.
That's Popeye.
Yeah, Popeye the Sailor Man. Ha.
That's his alias. He looks like him.
Let me see. And the reason I bring up these names is because they're at 175. So if Canelo were to look to fight the winner of Beterbiev and Archer, and he happens to be an American, it would be at 175. There's also Dion Nicholson, but he's coming off a knockout loss to in Billy. Oh no, actually, this is a different Nicholson. The other guy's name is Demar Nicholson. This guy's name is Dion. Yeah, man, there's only like 6 Americans at 175 that are in the top 50, bro. And none of
Yeah.
these guys are household names. Khalil Cole, Atif Alberton, Dion Nicholson, Richard Rivera, and Charles Foster. The rest are like Eastern European or people from the UK.
Yeah, that's fucking. That
Yeah, I don't
sucks.
know, man. I don't know. But yeah, I could see Canelo fighting somebody of a tune-up at 175. I can also see Canelo relinquishing all those 168 belts because maybe he's tired of paying those sanctioning fees. At this point of time, Canelo is bigger than the belts.
Hmm.
Obviously, it's beautiful to have the belts in circulation when you're walking out in the ring, and then the announcer states, "Oh, reigning WBC, WBA, WBO, IBF, ring and lineal, undisputed 168." When they announce all your accolades, but they can still do that. I mean,
Yeah.
those belts are always yours. You are cemented in history. Hell, if Canelo wanted to walk out with 30 people and they can hold all of his belts from 147, 154, 160, 168, no one's going to tell him anything because those are his to keep. And he doesn't have to pay the sanctioning fees of 12% for 4 sanctioning bodies. So Canelo can literally be like, I'm going to fight anybody, keep all this back end money to myself, and no belts on the line. And he can have a tune-up at 175 against one of those guys, Popeye, Richard Rivera, and then get ready to see the winner of Beterbiev and Bivol. I don't know, man. Look, Canelo. I just hope he doesn't rob us that fight of ever happening between him and Jaime and him and David Benavides. But at the end of the day, bro, like, are you gonna point a gun to his head and be like, "Nah, dude, you gotta fight David"? Like, no,
Yeah.
no one's gonna do that, bro. Canelo's got
Yeah.
nothing to tell, bro. Like, nah.
Yeah. No, he's set for life, man. He doesn't need to do anything, bro. Like, I mean, you say he's robbing us, and I feel like, dude's been doing this for a living, man. He's obligated to to do whatever the fuck he wants, and claim and have some kind of claim to greatness, so you can
Put
do
it to you like
both.
this: imagine the 49er players.
Mhm.
They'd complain to the NFL and be like, "Man, we gotta beat the Green Bay Packers, and we have to now fight the Detroit Lions on a playoff for the NFC Championship." You win that, you're the NFC divisional champion. Then you complain to the Super Bowl in the NFL, "Man, why do we gotta play the
Why
Chiefs?"
would we do that?
Imagine exactly. So why does Canelo feel like he should have the right to complain that we want him to fight the best? That's
Because it's not
basically
the
what
Super
Canelo
Bowl.
is doing. It's
It's
like,
different.
oh man, I gotta fight this dude and this dude and this dude and this. Like, yeah, dude. Like, don't take it as disrespect. Like, we want to see you fucking fight these dudes because
You
we
ever thought of it
recognize
this
you
way
as
though?
the best.
You ever thought of it this way? It's a team sport, and maybe they're deciding as a team.
What do you mean?
I don't
Deciding what
fucking
as
know.
a team?
Because you wanted to bring up football and Super Bowl. I'm like,
I
that's
know, but
different. That's
basically what I'm
different.
saying is the road to get to the Super Bowl, the road to become a Super Bowl champion is going to be difficult and even more so difficult.
How?
And
It's
then
still
even
playing football.
that's what I'm saying. It's still doing boxing. What I'm
Sure.
saying is NFL players don't complain about how tough the road is. You see, they acknowledge it, they respect it. That's why when
Actually,
the
no.
juice is
We
going
could
to
they
be worth the squeeze when you become a Super Bowl champion. Canelo understood and should understand by now that being undisputed does come with fighting for mandatories. Being undisputed means you are going to disappoint certain people to fight the ultimate glory. Being undisputed or being one of the pillars of boxing means you have a responsibility and a fiduciary duty to uphold the highest standard of what it means to be a champion, which you set the precedence of saying, if you want to be the face of boxing, all roads have to be tough. If you want to be the face of boxing, you must fight the best and toughest fighters in your division. If you want to be the best in boxing, you have to become undisputed. See, those are three honorable credences. If he doesn't want to uphold those three things, let go of the belt. Why
yeah,
hold
no,
the division hostage?
yeah. No, I think yeah, man, I just feel like Canelo can do whatever the fuck he want, man,
You can't.
and but he
Don't
can
let
still
him.
claim greatness. But don't get me wrong though, what he's saying on the social media, like I don't think I've ever seen him this uh I wouldn't say uncomfortable, but this defensive about his actions. You
Yeah,
know?
very good point. Very good point. Because that's
Yeah.
what that post is. He goes, if I'm
Mhm.
gonna duck these fighters, that's what that is. It's
Yeah.
cowardice,
And
unfortunately.
he doesn't need to do it, man. He doesn't need to do it because if I were him, I'd feel totally confident that I can be Benavides. If you're so confident and fight him, I think there is some kind of worry in him. You
Yeah,
know,
as
there's some
well
kind.
as he should be. This guy is a
Yeah.
force. He's a good fighter. It's gonna be difficult. But guess what, Canelo? It's also gonna be very difficult for David to beat you. And yes, he
Mm.
does have everything to gain, and you have everything to lose, which is why it's gonna be very fulfilling
Every
when
time
you
he
beat
hears,
him.
somebody or some kind of post about Canelo fight Benavides or any of that shit,
Yeah,
he's like, fucking son of a bitch. He's
yeah.
tired of it, bro.
And he
I'm
listens to that. Absolutely, he's tired of it because he listens to everything, bro.
Yeah, and
Canelo
he
knows
should
what's
fight
out
it.
there. And it bugs him, and I'm glad that it
Exactly.
bugs him.
Yep. Yep. Because he can.
Because
It
it's
should bug him
supposed to.
enough.
You're supposed to feel like, why are you guys giving him the credit? Do you guys not respect everything that I've done? Like, bro, I
Yeah.
actually fought Bivol. I fought Triple G. Did you guys forget that? But you
Yeah.
see, that's what he should say, rather
Hmm.
than being like, if I fight this guy, I don't please this. If I fight
Yeah.
this dude, then I ducked him. Like, what?
Right.
No, he should be like, guys, I am the best in the world, and look who I
Yeah.
fought.
Yeah. That
Don't
that should
forget
this
it.
should add.
So when
I
I
like the
knock out
pressure.
Benavides, don't be like, oh, he ain't fought nobody. No, just eat crow.
Yeah.
But on that note,
Yeah.
man, I gotta wrap it up, dude.
All right.
But um uh but yeah, man, you wanted to talk a little bit about some football cards, or we'll save that for another time.
No, yeah, we'll talk about him right now, man. Because ain't no one gonna listen to it, bro. Like the best car channel out there has just as much uh like watchers as us. Like
And much more, because there would be the best card channel.
no, no. I'm saying because there is like podcast channels on YouTube,
Yeah,
and they don't have like live listeners. Like some are like 10 or 20, but that's like the best ones.
yeah.
So it's a small market, but yeah, man, let's talk about it. What's up?
I mean, I don't know. You said when I was having like internet issues and I couldn't hear you, or like, oh man, I wanted to talk about these cards real quick.
It's all good.
So I guess you
Well,
have the stage, I'm
oh
listening.
yeah, no, 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 no. What's it called? uh I bought a card.
Well, which one? Which one? Football or what sport?
I got football. So I just got a Marvin Harrison Jr. PSA 10.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um
How
so I
much?
just got it. I sniped it, bro. Like I literally got it on eBay. And you know where it's at, right? It's in the bids. So if you go in bids,
Yeah,
sometimes people ain't paying attention, and they're watching cards, but they're not like active. They're like, they just like it, and then they get a notification and they kind of forget about it. So it's really all about like your timing and yeah, man, I was scoping out this
Did you get an
like
autograph?
Marvin. Nah, see any they're expensive. You know,
Yeah, they're
that's what I was telling you. That
$5.
like
Jeez.
it doesn't need to be graded. It doesn't, you know, any of that. If it's like a if it's an autograph, then and it says out of 199 out of 99, that little symbol in the back of the card is the most important, you know. And
Okay.
it'll shine too. It's like a little indentation on it. And yeah, I was trying to, I'm gonna pop it up right now. But yeah, it's and then PSA. I say PSA because they're actually a grading company, right? And you were showing me other grades through other companies. I think some of them are called like BGS or I forget what. But
It's the
PSA,
BGV, man.
you're but PSA's was the very first one. You know, when baseball cards were around, and you can buy like a Mackey. What's his name? Um, something Mackey. He's like a old, like super old baseball player. Um, fuck, is Mackey?
Like,
But
there's a guy named Mickey Mantle.
Mickey Mantle.
What team we talking about?
So Mickey Mantle is a really legendary baseball player, right? He pretty much has a the most expensive card. There's a PSA 10 of his, and it's a Mickey Mantle. I forget what, but
Yeah.
it's the most expensive card out there, and I think it's worth like 8 mil or something like that, or 10 mil.
What?
Yeah, yeah. But it's like a 19 whatever,
That would have to
1940,
be like Lou Gehrig, or that would have to be a Babe Ruth card, bro.
yeah, it's a PSA 10, bro. But Mickey Mantle's one of them guys, I guess. You know, and legendary type shit, but like
Yeah, yeah,
um
yeah.
but that's why baseball, I mean, they've been around, bro. Like there was that card was floating around out there while football wasn't even an entity or NFL wasn't even an entity yet, you know? So that's why those cards have more ROI. Like they you can get baseball cards and you'll flip it for so people make so much money on baseball cards only because solely because they're in the front runnings of Cy Young awards or um what's a word like a home run leader or Aaron Judge what will name
Shohei Otani. There's a
what
card, 560,000, dog.
yeah no it's you're gonna have to get lucky with
Yo.
baseball, bro, because what it is all these LLCs on whatnot. They're all
Yeah,
LLC, or they're not all LLCs, but they're pretty much they got hella boxes ready to open up, right?
yeah.
And if you look in the background, you're looking at thousands of dollars worth of boxes, bro. And it's like you're looking at it, you're counting it, and I'm like, wow, that's over 10,000 I'm looking at right there.
Must be
But
nice to be rich, huh?
well, that no, this is what it is though. They open up their own LLC and they pull out loans like that. And then I did the math and they actually fucking they make like a good chunk back because they're auctioning off your an ability to they'll spin a wheel for you, right? And there'll be 32 teams on the wheel, and then you see what's available on the wheel and you're waiting, right? And then boom, all of a sudden you see 6 teams left on the wheel, right? And then you see the Niners, boom, and then you see Houston, then you see, you know, and then you're like, damn, all those teams have good quarterbacks. Like I think right now is a good time to bid, right? And then boom, next thing you know, you see the bid price go hella high, you know, because the probability of you getting like a Brock Purdy or CJ Stroud for $200 or $100 only,
Yeah.
and it can be an $800 card that you get back, then that's where the money's at, you know, and that's how that works, and that's how they make their money back. And
I have a 2006 San Francisco Chronicle when Barry Bonds broke the home run record of Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron.
mhm.
And
See,
I
that's
mean, I have
different.
it on
It's
but I have it in in a frame. But the thing
mm,
is, like, my newspaper's turning a little orange because I never laminated it. But man, bro, the reason I bring that up is because Barry Bonds, my favorite player, got a jersey of him, and his I don't know, it's not his rookie card, but it's a 1987 OP Chi PSA 10 Barry Bonds when he was with the Pittsburgh Pirates. $750,000, dog. Like,
yeah,
imagine if you're like your great your grandpa had these cards and he had a folder of these,
No,
bro. You'd be like, yeah, Dad, I got myself a house.
yeah.
Damn, that'd be nice. Hey, just to
Then
hold on. El Pachuco goes. This past week, we saw a lot of great fights, boxing action. Golden Boy on Thursday. Joel Diaz made another champion on pro boxing.
I seen that.
You saw the one on pro box. Top rank, the zone, and make it go. The UFC card was good too. Nice. I love baseball. I have an autographed ball signed by Fernando Valenzuela. Very nice. Wow. Yeah, man. Golden Boy boxing on Thursday was really nice. Man, I feel disheartened by the words of Joel Diaz. Jojo Diaz, man. How he was like, man, this is politics, man. I gotta see what my contract is with Golden Boy. It was like, bro, you did not look good in that fight. And
He
like,
wants to say that he used the word
look,
politics.
yeah,
It's
he
more
used the
like
word politics. He was
it's more
basically
like it's
saying that
guess
Golden Boy
what?
and them were conspiring against JoJo,
Yeah.
and I'm
Hey,
just like, bro, they're the one of the only companies that have always stood by your side and your highs and your lows. And I hate how these boxers, these privileged boxers, just try to throw and talk shit about Golden Boy and Oscar De La Hoya, bro. Especially guys like Rolly and even now Jojo Diaz. It's like the utter disrespect. Like Jojo, if you had knockout power, if you were that good, you would have beaten that dude on Thursday. Instead, it was very close. And guess what? Oscar, yeah, maybe he is responsible for paying the judges and organizing the event, but you have a duty that you can beat these dudes if you're really that guy. And like
right.
instead of taking accountability, you pass on blame.
I compare
Sometimes,
that moment.
I like look. It's
I
not easy, and I know emotions are up in the air, especially after what you think. It was an unreasonable decision, but how can you trust a guy that dyes his hair different colors of the rainbow and Jojo Diaz? How can you trust a guy, that since we're gonna throw people under the bus and talk a lot of shit, how can you trust a guy that sends nude pictures to 14-year-olds online? How can we trust what you say, Jojo? Bro, the way that he went on his little tirade and blasted Golden Boy and Oscar De La Hoya and blamed them for your performance or the tough competitive bout because your reluctancy to drop down to 126 and fight at guys at 135 or 140, that's your fault, Jojo. That's your fault. They've invested so much money and effort to make you into a household name, and you have not lived up your end of the bargain. You were a bad investment for Golden Boy.
Yeah, that's like ending your shift and then going up to everyone in the at a Burger King and shit, and you're like fuck everybody here. Like after
Absolutely, bro.
clocking out and shit, like that's like some dumb shit, bro. Because you still have
Great reference. Great reference. Absolutely, dude. It's despicable. It's really disgusting. And guess what, Jojo? No one's really gonna want you anymore because
Mhm,
now they see what type of person that you are. And
mhm.
Golden Boy has had a very weird, history
Year.
as well with certain things of that nature, similar to what JoJo has done. There's been a lot of accusations and articles that came out with Golden Boy when he was in the younger, involved with youth as well. But yeah, man, if there was any fighter that understood your plight, JoJo, it would be Oscar De La Hoya. And then you probably burn the only bridge of promoter that's gonna want you. Because what you think they have fight dates and a budget to put you on the fight? You think Eddie Hearn's gonna want to sign you? Leftovers? Nah, man.
Yeah,
But
man. Like,
yeah, dude.
yeah,
Fucking JoJo, dude. I just
yeah,
couldn't
man.
believe that whatever's, man. But on that note, dude, I gotta wrap it up, man. Kind of losing my voice. But guys, thank you guys for tuning in. Drew, thank you for coming by and saving the show. El Pachuco, the Mexican G, Isa Licious, Sports Archives, everybody that tunes in, man. Salute to you guys. I appreciate you guys for
Where was
giving you
Speed
guys
at?
a bit of the time. I said Drew. I said
Where?
thank you, Drew, for saving the show.
No, I said where was Speed at?
I don't know, man. He probably don't want to hop on anymore. He's in his fields. Nah, but anyway, guys, thank you guys for always tuning in and giving us a piece of your ear and your time to just talk boxing, man. But on that note, hopefully after this Saturday, I get a couple more sparring footages. I gotta ask for permission for some of these local fighters to see if I can upload some of these performances. Really tough work. Um, and
Check
we'll
us
go
out
from
on
there.
IG.
Yes, sir. On that note, guys, have a good night, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Peace.